Hello and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to crochet a flower around a button. You can see here I have completed one of these for my projects that you could find on my website at nanascraftyhome.com for one of my hat patterns. And you can see here that the flower has become part of the button because I'm crocheting into the button and around the button. You can use this technique with any size button, large or small, as long as you can find a crochet hook that will fit through the buttonhole. So really the trick is just finding a hook that will go through that hole for you. I'm using 2 hooks for this project, and I'm going to set this aside right now, but I'm going to use 2 different size hooks for this project. I have the smaller size hook, which is as you can see here, a size D, a 3.25 millimeter, which fits through the hole. And then I'm also using a size G, or a 4.5 millimeter hook. This hook is being used for the project, and I would like that gauge to be the same as what I'm using for the rest of my project. So I am going to switch back and forth between the 2 sizes. Of course, you don't have to do that. If you, just want to continue on with a smaller hook, you could certainly do that as well. So I have my button here. I'm going to start with my smaller hook. And just insert that hook into one of the buttonholes, yarn over and pull up a generous loop. And you want this loop to be tall enough to where it isn't going to pull your work forward. If I were to have a short loop and I did a stitch, here I'm going to show you what would happen. So you can see it has a tendency of wanting to pull or have my work sit on the top of the button rather than over here to where I want it around the button. So I'm going to do that again. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop through the buttonhole, a nice generous loop to where it sits nicely up above. And I nearly forgot, I'm switching between hooks. So grab your bigger hook and insert that into both loops, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through both loops. And you've made your first stitch. You're going to keep the larger size hook in order to make some chains, and you want to do however many chains that you need to make in order to get over to that buttonhole without being too tight to where your work again wants to pull forward in front of that button. So in this case, I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set my larger hook aside, grab my smaller hook, insert into the next buttonhole, yarn over, pull up a nice generous loop here, and keep a hold of it so it doesn't go anywhere while I change out hooks. Insert the hook into both loops, yarn over, pull through both loops. So I've made that first chain space and I've made it into both buttonholes. Chain again 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, switching out hooks again to that smaller size hook. Next buttonhole, yarn over, pull up a loop, generous loop, grab it with your thumb to hold it in place. Insert your larger hook, yarn over, pull through both loops, and I snagged one of the fibers. There we go. 4 more chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Change out hooks. Next buttonhole, yarn over, pull up a generous size loop, hold with your thumb, switch out your hooks, yarn over, pull through both loops, last chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that I have made it into all 4 of the buttonholes. So what I'm wanting to do at this point is just join with a slip stitch to that first stitch. All right. So you can see here that I have made enough chains in order to go evenly around the button to where it's not bunched forward on top of the button. It is laying flat and not too tight. This button is a little slippery, so it's wanting to slip around a little bit, but it is certainly loose enough and not wanting to just tightly bunch up on the front there. So at this point, really, you could do any flower pattern that you choose. You can make it as big or as simple as you'd like. I'm just doing, for this button, I did a very simple flower of slip stitch, single crochet, half double, a double, 2 triples, a double, half double, single crochet, and a slip stitch in each chain 4 space around. So with my larger size hook, slip stitch into that first chain 4 space, single crochet, half double, double, triple, triple, double, half double, single crochet, slip stitch. And I've made that first petal of that flower. As you can see here. It fills up that space nicely, does not bunch, and when I'm finished, I will complete all of these 4 chain spaces with that same pattern, and I will have my flower. So I will continue on doing that same pattern. Alright, so I've completed all 4 petals of my flower, going completely around the button, and so to complete it I will just slip stitch into that first stitch that I made in that first petal and fasten off. So of course at this point I could have continued doing more petals if I chose around the outside, making the flower bigger, but I'm going to complete it at this point. I would leave a long tail for sewing it to your project if that's what you're going to do with it. You can see here that what I did with this project is I used that long tail to actually sew again through the buttonholes. That gives it a little bit more stability, I think, with the button, but you don't have to do that if you just decide to sew it together. I wanted the petals to actually be a little bit loose from the project. But make sure and leave a long tail so you can sew it to your work if that's what you're doing with it. So I hope this was helpful for you today. I hope that to see you again soon. I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. You can always visit me on Facebook or my website, nanascraftyhome.com. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.